Hi, I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. So last week we discussed Kessel and the spice mines there. Well, today we're going to talk about one of the major factions that operated them, and that faction is the Pyke Syndicate. As many of you know, the Pyke Syndicate is a criminal organization that specialized in spice. However, something that's not quite as obvious is that the Pyke Syndicate actually is part of a larger organization, a spice cartel simply called the Spice Cartel. The Pyke Syndicate, however, seems to operate with a reasonable level of autonomy. Throughout the Clone Wars, we see them not just trafficking spice, but taking out hits on people and even imprisoning people. The Pyke Syndicate actually gets its name from the family that operated it, the Pyke Family, which operated it out of the Pyke Palace on Obadai. We know in their mining operations, like I mentioned in the Kessel video, the Pykes make use of slaves in a lot of their mines and even some of their shipping operations. And when it comes to their shipping operations, the ones they don't control directly, they contract usually smugglers, or even in some cases just straight up freighters, to haul their spice to distant corners of the galaxy. This is what we see in the current ongoing arc of the Clone Wars. Our heroes are contracted to ship some spice. We know before the Clone Wars that the Pyke Syndicate controlled a majority of the spice trade, and that kind of made them a thorn in the side of not just other criminal organizations, but the Republic. They actually were the ones that killed Master Sci-Fi, who was sent to deal with their stranglehold on the spice trade. We know during the war that they remained relatively neutral, not siding with the Republic and not siding with the Confederacy, and once again functioning very independently. Now in the Clone Wars series, we see them come at odds with the Jedi and the Republic on multiple occasions, but I'm sure that's kind of standard for most criminal syndicates. We know partway through the war that the Pyke Syndicate joined Darth Maul's Shadow Collective, which is a group of criminal agencies working for Maul. They played a pivotal part in Maul's Death Watch taking over Mandalore. They were actually involved in several schemes tied to Mandalore, everything from smuggling to, like I said, this all-out revolution staged by Death Watch. We know that shortly after Maul took over Mandalore, the Pyke Syndicate left the Shadow Collective and once again continued to function as its own entity. During this time, it maintained its stranglehold on the spice trade, controlling everything from the shipping to the mining operations. These mining operations include the mining operations on Kessel, which were one of the largest producers of spice. Generally, the end of the war didn't affect the spice trade that much and didn't really affect the Pyke Syndicate that much. They continued operating into the days of the Empire. We know during the days of Solo that the Pyke Syndicate at least still had a presence on Kessel. This made obvious by the fact that the spice mines featured in the movie are run by the Pyke Syndicate. After that, we don't really know much of what happens to the Pyke Syndicate. We know by the time of Star Wars Rebels that the mines on Kessel seem to be under the control of the Empire. And that raises more questions than answers. What happened to this massive criminal syndicate? Where does it fall in the sort of post-Battle of Yavin galaxy? But if you enjoyed what you saw here today, or just want more sci-fi discussions, head down below with the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. Also, don't forget to like and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the Pyke Syndicate in general. Do you think they fit well into Star Wars, or do you think criminal syndicates shouldn't be this fleshed out? So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.